Her answer came in a kiss, soft and certain and tasting of salt tears and something that felt like hope. The media explosion that followed was catastrophic. Within hours of the announcement, headlines screamed betrayal and scandal across every platform. Billionaire's Maid strikes gold, read one tabloid. Did she manipulate a vulnerable man? Questioned another. Twitter became a battleground of opinions, most of them vicious. Amira's phone never stopped ringing. Her mother called, supportive but terrified. Her cousins were split, some defending her, others accusing her of betraying their family's values for money. Strangers sent death threats. Conservative pundits debated her morality on cable news. Liberal activists accused her of reinforcing stereotypes. Everyone had an opinion, and none of them knew the truth. Maybe we should wait, Amira said one night, staring at her phone screen filled with hate messages. Let things cool down. Richard took the phone from her hands and set it aside. They won't cool down. They'll just find new ways to be cruel. We can't control what they think, Amira. We can only control what we do. I'm scared, she admitted. Not of them, but of, what if they're right? What if I did take advantage somehow without meaning to? What if? Stop. He cupped her face. You saved my life. You gave me a reason to keep fighting when I had none. That's not manipulation. That's grace. And I won't let anyone, including you, twist that into something ugly. 2 weeks later, Samantha filed a lawsuit claiming Amira had exploited a disabled man's emotional vulnerability for financial gain. The case made national news. Legal experts debated capacity and consent. The internet divided into camps. Richard's board called an emergency meeting to discuss the situation. The courtroom was a zoo of cameras and judgment when the hearing began. Samantha's lawyer was expensive and ruthless, painting Amira as a calculating predator who'd swooped in when Richard was at his weakest. Witnesses testified about Richard's depression after the accident, his suicide attempt, his dependency on daily care. The implication was clear: he wasn't capable of making sound decisions. Then Richard took the stand. He wheeled himself to the witness box without assistance, his shoulders straight, his voice steady. Samantha's lawyer approached with practiced sympathy. Mr. Hale, isn't it true that you were severely depressed following your accident? Yes. And that you attempted suicide? Yes. And that Ms. Johnson was there, alone with you, during this vulnerable time? Yes. Richard's eyes found Amira in the gallery. She was there when no one else was. She was there when my fiancé stopped returning my calls. When my friend sent gift baskets instead of showing up. When everyone decided I wasn't worth their time anymore because I couldn't walk into a room and command it. Mr. Hale. I'm not finished. Richard's voice carried through the courtroom like thunder. You want to paint Amira Johnson as someone who took advantage of me? Let me tell you what really happened. When I wanted to die, she made me want to live. Not with promises of wealth or status, but by treating me like I was still human. She pushed me to dress myself when it would have been easier to do it for me. She challenged me to feel again when I'd gone numb. She stayed when staying was hard and leaving would have been simple. The lawyer tried to interrupt, but Richard kept going. You think I can't make sound decisions? I built a $3 billion company from scratch. I've negotiated with world leaders and Fortune 500 CEOs. But the soundest decision I've ever made was asking that woman to marry me. Not because she's convenient or because I'm confused, but because for the first time in my entire life, someone loved me for who I am, not what I can do for them. He leaned forward, his eyes sweeping the courtroom. If choosing love over loneliness makes me incompetent, then I don't want competence. If seeing worth in someone the world overlooks makes me foolish, then I don't want wisdom. Amira Johnson saved my life. And I'll spend the rest of it proving she made the right choice, saying yes. The courtroom erupted. The judge called for order. Samantha's face went white as the lawyer scrambled to recover ground he'd never get back. When the judge dismissed the case 3 hours later, citing complete lack of evidence and condemning Samantha for malicious prosecution, the vindication felt hollow. They'd won legally, but the court of public opinion was still deliberating. 6 months passed. Richard and Amira withdrew from public life, focusing instead on what mattered. They created the Amira Foundation, a non-profit providing technology and arts education to underprivileged youth. Richard discovered he was a better teacher than he'd ever been a CEO, working one-on-one with kids who reminded him of what he'd forgotten: potential isn't about where you start, but what you do with what you're given. Physical therapy continued. Slowly, painfully, Richard progressed from wheelchair to leg braces to a cane. He'd never run again, probably never walk without assistance. But he could stand. And on the night of the Amira Foundation's first charity gala, that was enough. The community center in Harlem was modest compared to the glittering affairs he used to attend. No ice sculptures or celebrity performances. Just local kids showcasing their artwork and technology projects, their faces bright with possibility. The room was filled with parents and teachers and people who'd shown up because they believed in second chances. Etta James crooned from the speakers as Richard stood, slowly, carefully, one hand on his cane, and extended the other to his wife. "Dance with me." Amira's smile could have powered the whole city. "You sure you're ready?" "No. But let's do it anyway." They swayed slowly in the center of the room, his movement stiff but determined, her arms steady around him. Around them, donors and students watched with tears in their eyes, witnessing something more valuable than any stock portfolio: two people who'd found each other in the wreckage and chosen to build something beautiful from the ruins. "You fixed what I thought was broken," Richard whispered against her hair. Amira pulled back to look at him, her eyes bright with love. "No, baby. You just learned to feel again. The strength was always there. You just needed a reason to use it." "You're my reason," he said. "Today, tomorrow, always." The music swelled around them, and they held each other in a room full of second chances, proving that sometimes the greatest wealth isn't measured in dollars or stock prices or empires built on ambition. Sometimes it's measured in someone who stays when everyone else walks away. Someone who sees your worth when you've forgotten it exists. Someone who teaches you that broken doesn't mean finished. That love, real love, doesn't arrive in designer dresses or diamond rings. Sometimes it comes dressed in humility, working the night shift, refusing to let you quit on yourself. Sometimes it comes from the most unexpected places, in the most unexpected ways, and changes everything. If this story moved your heart, don't let it end here. Hit that subscribe button for more stories that remind us what real love looks like when the filters come off and the masks fall away. Drop a comment below about a time someone saw your worth when you couldn't see it yourself. Your story matters, and this community needs to hear it. Share this video with someone who needs to remember that broken doesn't mean finished, that setbacks can become setups, and that the best things in life often come from the worst moments. Your engagement helps these stories reach the people who need them most. Thank you for being here. Thank you for believing that love still wins. Thank you for proving that humanity is still worth fighting for.